Hey guys, welcome back to the homestead. So we've had the Dodge on the road now for about 400 to 500 miles. Had a couple bumps in the road, if you will, right out of the gate. Had a little bit of an oil leak that we'll tell you about. The two issues we had, I guess, are the oil leak and the AFC live. So the first day out, we took it out. It seemed to go pretty good, but it didn't seem to have the power that I anticipated. It was definitely more than it had previous, but less than I anticipated. Playing with the knobs on the AFC Live or flipping the switch to full power seemed to make no difference at all. So we went to where we were going, which is about 15 minutes away, and there's this T that you guys saw me talk about in the video in the AFC Live, and it's got a little vent. If I bring it in so you can see it. It's got a little vent there, and it's got the two ends on it, and where my finger is. And on this side, it's got some arrows. So I figured, okay, you remember I wasn't sure, and I had to call Power Driven Diesel, and the guy I talked to also wasn't 100% sure. He's like, I'm positive, well maybe I'm not. He said, I think the arrow points towards the AFC, but he goes, if it doesn't work right, turn it around. So all right, well, I turned it around. Still no power to speak of. None of the adjustments did anything. The little switch didn't do anything. It was basically not getting any post-boost fuel. It was just on pre-boost fuel. That's all it was. So about halfway home we stopped, and I actually took this right out of the equation and took the AFC Live out of the equation. I took that piece of black plastic tubing that goes between the AFC and the T, and I plugged it right into the intake manifold. So it was straight, straight boost pressure to the AFC. So then everything, just to make sure that I hadn't messed up the AFC. And at that point, we had tons of power, a lot of black smoke. So that told me that everything was working as it was supposed to, except for something in the AFC Live. So when I got home, I called Power Driven Diesel, and they asked if I'd installed this, and I said yes. And he said, well, we've had a few of those that are bad, and they don't pass the pressure from the boost into the AFC. So it gets to the actual AFC Live, but it doesn't go through this to the AFC. So what this actually is, it's a kind of a bleed off, if you will. So it's supposed to let the pressure from the turbo go through the AFC Live, go through this T and into the AFC housing to do your fueling. And when you let off the throttle to shift another gear, this is supposed to bleed off really quickly, drop the pressure out of the AFC, so it goes back down to only pre-boost fuel. So when you switch to the next gear and the RPMs drop and you step on the throttle, you're way defueled again and you have to build boost to get your fuel back. If you shift slow like I do, it really doesn't even matter. So they suggested I just try taking it out and see if the AFC Live works, and if that does, then it would be for sure be this D. And it did. It worked great. So now we can adjust the AFC Live. We've got it set now so that under kind of aggressive driving, we get just a little bit of black smoke as boost is building. Very little, but you can see a little black haze come out of the exhaust just as we're building boost. As soon as it gets to about 10 pounds of boost, it clears right up. We also have it set right now. The max we're seeing is about 9,500, 10,000, 950 to 1,000 degrees. Yeah, 10,000 degrees. That'd be warm on the pyrometer. And these 12 valves, they say 1,200 to 1,250. Continuous is your kind of maximum you want to run on EGTs. So when we hook onto the camper next week and head to Florida, we'll be able to dial that in and make sure that we've got it set up so that you don't have to worry about driving with the throttle pedal. You can give it all the throttle you want. You will not overheat anything on the EGTs. So that's the only issue we had there. That, and let me grab this from you guys, the boot. So you guys probably remember in one of the videos I was waiting for UPS to show up with a boot. So we bought the kit of 4 boots from Power Driven Diesel, and when we went to put them on, there was only 3. I called and the lady was very confident that I was missing the passenger side boot. She said they'd had a lot of kits come through that way. She apologized. They shipped me right out of boot. I actually paid for expedited shipping, so I wanted to get it done. and it got here, and it is indeed the passenger side boot, but that's the side I actually had. I'm missing the driver's side boot. So I need to get a hold of Power Driven Diesel and see what I can do about getting these two parts. There's no real hurry because at this point it's all together. We're going to run it to Florida and back. Next spring when we tear this apart to change the sheet metal, we'll go ahead and change the boot. The T I don't think we'll even worry about. The thing actually works really well without the T. The other bumps that we ran into, if you will, were we bought this line to go from the turbo, from the oil filter housing to the turbo to give you oil pressure in the turbo. And it came with a metric and an American standard adapter, one for each end. And in my case, I needed both metric. So I ended up ordering another line. It was cheaper than trying to hurry up and find fittings. And then the last issue we had was we ran it for about 400 to 500 miles. We pulled it in the shop today to actually change the oil. We're just going to go through, we're going to check all the tire pressures, rotate the tires before we go to Florida, and just do a once over before we get on the road. And I noticed it's really wet with oil underneath. So I got looking at the, from underneath I could see it. I got looking at the turbo, and the turbo drain, everything is just soaked in oil. So that one's on me. The center of the turbo will turn. So you have your exhaust housing. It bolts to the manifold. The center portion will clock, you know, from that, and then your intake portion will clock. And you saw us working on that to get them clocked. I got the center section a little bit off, so when I tightened up the drain, which is in the bottom, and I'll show you guys here in a second, when I tightened that up, it hit up against the wastegate valve and didn't completely seal the gasket. So what I did is I actually pulled the turbo off, because it only took me about 20 minutes to get the turbo off, cleaned everything up, loosened up all the indexing screws, and bolted on the drain, and then I clocked it so I had about 1/8 of an inch of space between the wastegate and the drain. Put it all back together, everything's fine now. So those are really the only bumps in the road we had. So I'm going to grab the camera, I'm going to grab you guys, and we're going to go ahead and look at things, just kind of give you a few, you know, visuals of what we've done, again, recap it, and just tell you our thoughts. So hold on just 1 second. So I'll try to be good and stable with this camera, but the twin ram intake, I really have no way of knowing, is it better or worse? I didn't do any, like, you know, it wasn't apples to apples because we changed so many things, but it makes perfectly logical sense to me, the way the factory intake is, that it would favor some cylinders over the other. So that seemed like money well spent in my case. I can't swear to that, but it does seem like it. The AFC Live in the cab, definitely. Big fan of that at the moment. I really like being able to tune the injection pump on the go, and I like being able to hit the switch and have full control of my fuel. It's actually very drivable. One thing that I found interesting was that even in full fuel mode, I can actually drive it pretty aggressively without any black smoke. You really have to, you know, bash on it pretty hard to get a bunch of black smoke. So even with that in what I call fun mode, you still get a very drivable truck. Intercooler, that's also a tough one because I don't have apples to apples. I didn't actually, you know, it wasn't that I just changed the intercooler, so I can't tell you if there's any real power change, you know, power boost from doing that, but I can tell you that it is hands down way higher quality, way heavier, way more rugged than the Dodge version of that. So not at all sad we did it, because our old one right over there, you can see it's pretty beat up. It's got 300,000 miles on it. It's original to the truck in 1994, so we can't feel too bad about that. And we come over to this side of things. Let me get you some light. So we come over here to this side of things. Turbo, so far I'm liking the turbo. We actually make less boost now than we did with the HX35 because that had a boost elbow in it, and this one does not have any restriction. So we cap out at about 25 PSI on this one, whereas the other one would go to about 35. We may put a boost tuner in this and set that for, say, 30 pounds as we go. But we'll see. A lot's going to be told when we hook onto the camper and really start putting some miles onto it. The exhaust manifold, again, it's one of those that, you know, there's claims of increase in power, but we did so much at one time, I can't swear to that, but it is a very quality piece of equipment. It was needed in our case because the old manifold was shrunk down so bad we were about ready to start breaking something from shrinkage. Injectors, again, perfectly happy, really like the power of the thing. And then the air cleaner. That was kind of the last thing we capped it off with. Our air cleaner was really in pretty rough shape, and we needed to do something. This one I found online. It was a little pricey, but it does work really well. It fits nicely, and I kind of like that you can see the air filter and tell, you know, how dirty it's getting. See if I can get you guys to balance okay on that spray paint can. Tripod's out in the camper, so you guys are hanging out on top of a can of spray paint, so try not to move too much. So to recap the whole process, you know, everything we've done, we really started out by trying to do a lot of research, and there was so many opinions. Do this turbo, do that turbo, do this size wheel, do that size wheel. Do these injectors, do those injectors. Well, these are 400 horse injectors, these are 100 horse injectors. And all these things kind of got overwhelming. And what really came down to is when I started talking to the guys at Power Driven Diesel, they explained to me that injectors don't have horsepower ratings. Injectors have hole sizes and number of holes, and that's it. You can expect a certain amount of increase, of course, if you go to this hole size or these extra holes. But when they really explained it to me, it made sense. And then when I started to understand the whole concept and the process, it started to make sense. But ultimately what it came down to is I decided to put my eggs in one basket. I decided to trust Power Driven Diesel and told them exactly what I had for a truck, exactly what I towed. I've got a 31-foot fifth wheel that weighs 10,000 pounds. I have a gooseneck trailer that I sometimes haul the excavator on, but it's pretty rare. So the camper is really the big ticket item. That's the big weight. That's what we're hauling. Explained everything to them, and they really recommended that I go with the 400 horsepower kit and a K27 turbo. Mostly on the turbo just because the old one had 300,000 miles on it, and I don't want to be stranded on the side of the road. They actually suggested I not put a new turbo on it for power reasons, but they also agreed at 300,000 miles it's not a bad idea to go ahead and take care of some of the stuff like that now rather than changing it on the side of the road. So that's what we did. We went completely with their recommendations. We did add the exhaust manifold above and beyond, and we added the intercooler. Those two, and the intake. They didn't actually mention the intake either. Those are three things that I put on as we went. The exhaust manifold is out of need. The intercooler mostly was because that one looked pretty rough and I didn't really want to trust it, and we were pretty close. And then the intake manifold just made sense to me at the time, so that's why we did it. So if I had to do it all again, at this moment, I'd do the same thing. I would go with that kit. I'm happy with my choices. And if I can give any advice to anybody, it's like, just, you know, don't drive yourself nuts reading the different forums, the different reviews, the different thoughts. It's just like anything. Everybody has an opinion, and not everyone is particularly wrong or right. And there's more than one way to get from A to B. It's just you have to pick a set of parts that you know will work together to get you from A to B in the way you want to get there. So the worst thing you can do is take little sound bites from every different place and say, oh, I'm going to use this turbo. And, well, this guy said I should use these injectors, and maybe I'll change to these delivery valves. And now nothing really complements each other, right? So then you get into a big world of mess. So that's, for me, was it really, is I decided to go with the Power Driven Diesel. I decided to agree with them, you know, gel with that and go that route. And at the moment, we're very happy. We have put roughly 500 miles on it. We really haven't checked fuel mileage, but I can tell you that I'm well above 20 miles to the gallon at the moment. Well, I say well. I know I'm on the upper side of 20 miles to the gallon. It may only be 21 or 22, but it's above 20. And we've been kind of thrashing on the truck quite a bit. I mean, not you know, like out burning the tires off or anything, but we've been kind of playing with it, pushing it, tuning it. You know, it hasn't just been casual driving down the road. So we're really actually thinking that we may see in the 20-ish mile per gallon hauling the camper with this thing, which would be really cool because gas prices or diesel prices are definitely going up, and we definitely want to travel. So the last trip we took with it, all factory stock, we were getting 15 miles to the gallon through the Blue Ridge Mountains with the camper behind us. So my goal is to be able to get 20 or 22 out of it now. I'll be really happy if we can do that. Yeah, I definitely can't speak well enough about the Power Driven Diesel guys. They've been great. They've got great videos. They've got a lot of good advice. They're there when you call them. If there is a problem, they're eager to help make it right. When I called about the boot, the lady actually put me on hold, went out back, had to get the forklift, get a pallet down, get a package of boots, open one up and bring it back and make sure she had it in her hands before she sent it to me. So definitely recommend those guys if you got any needs. The Mitsubishi, or however you want to say it, intercooler, that fit well. Happy with that. Yeah, again, I would do it all again. I would use all the same parts at the moment. I really can't complain about a couple extra parts that I bought that I didn't need or parts that didn't fit. So just one of those things. I'm really happy that I did the work myself because now I know how everything ticks. I'm not scared to jump in there and tear into the injection pump. I'm not scared to play with the timing. I've kind of learned all those things. So any questions on the 12 valve stuff or Power Driven Diesel or any of this stuff, actually, go ahead and leave me some comments or questions down below. Any suggestions on things that you guys use and like, let me know that as well. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.